Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Joygail Radio. This time it's in collaboration with Supersonic Jazz. We're hosting a show where we'll dive deep into, just the new album of the guest next to me, who I'm going to ask to introduce himself, actually. Next to me is Oscar Jerome. Oscar, could you maybe tell people like who you are and what you do?
I'm Oscar Jerome. I'm a guitarist, a vocalist, a producer, and just all around music lover.
Yeah. So how have you been?
I've been good, yeah. We're about 1/3 way through a pretty big tour.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest tour I've ever done.
Yeah.
But we had a day off yesterday, a nice day off in Utrecht, and we went on some bikes and stuff, so I'm feeling quite refreshed.
Okay. You were just chilling for a second.
Yeah, exactly, which was needed,
So you just released your album, The Fork. How does it feel to have the project released out into the world and, to be touring again?
Feels great.
Yeah?
It's been a little while since I've been out on the road and been able to have this real life interaction with the people that, get something from my music, and it's nice. It kind of makes you realize why you do it.
Yeah.
When people tell you how much your music has done for them.
Mm-hmm. Because can you tell a bit about the album? What does the title mean to you, for example?
The Fork is about reaching a fork in the road, reaching a crossroads in life, and not being afraid to take the path that causes the most challenges.
And what made you go with this subject and with this title?
It was, through my own personal experience. I've been trying to test myself. I've been on somewhat of a spiritual journey in the last 2 years, and I've learned a lot through the process, and I hoped that through this project I could maybe just share a few of the things that I'd experienced.
Because I read into the album, and you spoke a lot about the spiritual and mental growth, and without stepping into too much personal detail, but what kind of growth you had to make to shape this new you and this album?
I think it's letting go of a lot of learnt reactions and behaviors to certain things, because I think often we base our understanding of reality and what the potential of reality is on what our upbringing is, there's so many things that are ingrained in us that we don't even necessarily notice that we're putting up a wall, rather than opening ourselves to learning from different people's traditions, learning from different cultures, learning from different belief systems. I think it's so important more than ever now that we really learn to just listen with open ears and an open heart.
Was this like some kind of a new phase for you then? Because would you say that was something that you really had to relearn or unlearn certain things to come to this point? Definitely.
But I also just think life is that. It's a constant cycle of relearning and unlearning, and
So this album, if I'm correct, is also the first album completely produced by yourself. What sparked this decision to do that?
It's something I've always done. I've always produced. There was always a level of imposter syndrome for me with production, and I was scared to say, I am a producer, even though I was producing my albums executively. But I always had someone help me on the buttons to put things together. And it was actually the mixing engineer and producer who worked on my previous album, Benny Giles, who said to me, the demos that you're bringing to that I was bringing to him for us to work on, he was like, they have a real vibe to them, which I feel like we're slightly losing when we work on them a lot. So he was saying, I feel like you should try and develop them yourself and see if you can capture and retain some of that magic from the original idea. So he helped to give me the confidence to do that, because he's an amazing producer. So I gave it a go, and
And you spoke about this imposter syndrome. Was it hard to let go of these certain thoughts, feelings, doubts towards yourself, maybe as being the full producer for a project.
Yeah, but it was also somewhat liberating. I think probably me doing this at the same time as going through a lot like more large changes in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've just generally been trying very hard to stop caring about what other people think.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult, especially when you do music and so much of your worth is based on the things that you put out there.
Obviously, yeah.
And then you also have the added thing of like social media and the visual representation of yourself and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been working really hard on trying to let go of that. And I think because it was during that process, it felt natural to also be like, okay, like this is my time to like, assert myself as a producer as well.
Yeah, and step into that mindset and that feeling.
Yeah.
So then coming back to the topic of learning, what is something that you've learned then through doing these things all by yourself? Were there certain techniques, or were there certain just things you evolved through?
I think I just learned that it's so important to lean into your own sound and your own strengths, because that's what makes what you do unique.
Yeah.
And for me, obviously my training in music is through the guitar. My musical world really revolves around the guitar.
Yeah.
So this is a very guitar heavy album. Obviously all my albums are, but there's not really any keyboards, maybe a couple of tiny synth parts, but in general it's all guitar and bass and then produced drums. And I just kind of lent into my strengths basically.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, right, like this is a album completely produced by you, so it might be a bit more personal in that sense, because you've dabbled into the sounds and the topics yourself. What was the hardest song to create eventually in this process?
The hardest song, probably The Fork, actually. I was sitting on that idea for a long time. And I knew it was great. I was like, there's something really cool about this. Originally I had like a 80s like drum machine sort of drum beat with like loads of toms in it. It kind of sounded like some like Phil Collins type thing.
Yeah.
And then I got my friend Ziggy Zeitgeist, who's an amazing drummer. He plays in the band 3070 and ZFEX. Yeah. He I needed help with the drums, so I sent it to him and was like, I'm stuck with the drums on this. And then he came up with like that very simple kind of lazy backbeat kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I didn't hear it like this, but actually that works really well. And then I was like, I know it needs something else. And then suddenly I was like, oh, I should get strings on it.
Yeah.
So then I contacted Nicholas Yuri, who's an amazing string arranger, and he wrote the beautiful string arrangement for it. And then we recorded the quartet in London. And then it came together all of a sudden. I was like, wow, this is probably the most beautiful song on the whole project for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took a long time to get there, and I needed the help of other people. And that's another thing I do want to say. As much as I did, like, I was the main producer on this project, I did have help from other people.
Of course, yeah.
And I think it's so important to be able to realize when you've reached your limit, and you should call in other people's expertise.
Yeah, because like you also have quite some collaborations on the album. And I think I've been thinking about this a lot, like when people really have the collaborations to kind of elevate what they're already doing. And I think you've done a wonderful job on the songs where you picked other people from and also how they delivered. And I'm wondering, how do you pick these people? What's the process like? Is it first the song and then you imagine people on it, or is it the other way around maybe? Ideas from others?
Usually, I just create the song and then I might be able to imagine someone on it. Like, for example, the song Worth Nothing, which features Hack Baker, I'd had that idea for a long time. That's another idea that I actually started with Ziggy. And it'd been sitting there for a while, and I knew I wanted someone with quite a strong like East London accent to do the chorus. Yeah. And I had it in my mind, and I was like, maybe I'm just gonna try and find some like old bloke in the pub, like on my high street or something, see if they'll do it. And then, but then I think it was my manager. She was like, "Why don't you get Hack to do it? Like, he would be perfect." And I was like, "Oh yeah,
of course,
sick." And like, he's already a friend, so I just hit him up, and then
Because had you guys worked together before, or was this the first?
We did a thing with the BBC like years and years and years ago, like before Hack blew up. And I just see him about, like, he's a lovely guy, so
Okay. So I'm always wondering like where people come from sonically. So I was wondering, like, when you were growing up as a kid, what was played in your household? Like your mom or dad, what were they playing around the house?
Like a real eclectic bunch of music. Like my dad's a really big jazz fan.
Okay.
A lot of like soul, funk. Really big reggae fan, has a lot of like reggae records. I was also, my sister was really into hip hop, so I heard a lot of kind of like 90s and early 2000s hip hop.
What kind of artist are we talking about then?
Like KRS-One, DMX, Tupac, Biggie, you know, all like the legends. Tribe Called Quest.
And when you first, had the option to actually pick music yourself, maybe you were looking at video clips or whatsoever, what were the first things that you got into actively?
Well, because I started playing guitar when I was like 8, and I was learning classical guitar. Yeah. But I think through being a guitarist, you just get very drawn to guitar-heavy music. Yeah. So I loved like rock music and blues and stuff like that. I was really into Rage Against the Machine and like Jimi Hendrix and a lot of kind of like 60s rock type stuff, like Led Zeppelin, that kind of shit. Yeah. And then I think through my sister, and because I was also into skateboarding, like I got quite into hip hop. But I don't know, I always had a pretty eclectic taste. Like, it never really was any because I've always had an affinity with like more kind of folky music as well. I love that sort of songwriting style and like Bob Dylan, stuff like that. I always really liked. Yeah.
And if we're looking like to the present, right? Who were the artists that you were listening to at the time when you were making this project? Are there certain influences that you can hear heavily?
Q-Tip, I was listening to a lot. I love his production. Prince, I was listening to quite a lot during this.
Would you say there are elements of these artists in...
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Especially Prince. Like, I think that with the more distorted guitar stuff, and like, because I love how he does that. It's like really funky, but then he has like a crazy like rock solo on the top of it. I love that mixture. It's like there's just something so satisfying about that. Yeah. Joni Mitchell I'd been listening to quite a lot before this. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I'm always just listening to so much different music, so it's kind of hard for me to even remember what the hell I was listening to.
I can imagine. But then there is a cover of John Martin on this album. Yeah. Like, and what does he and his music? What does he mean to you?
John Martin has just been an artist that has been like with me for a long time. Yeah. The first time I heard his music, I must have been about maybe 13, and just something just touched me so deeply about it. I love the beauty in melancholy. Okay, there's something just in that you can't get anywhere else. I don't know what it is, but he captures that so well. And his guitar chords, and just songwriting, it just makes you feel stuff. Just like just gets me in my feelings.
Oh wow, that's interesting that you say that feeling of like the guitar and a bit of sadness, melancholic vibes. Because I was listening to a morning show with Zakia when you did a rendition of The Spoon there, and I remember, like, I think that was one of my first moments that I actually tapped into your music. I thought it was so interesting, like how much emotion through your singing, obviously, but also within the way you're playing the guitar, how you how can I say this? How you give that feeling towards within the music. Is that something that you aspire as well to bring that across? That feeling.
Yeah, I feel like that's just what music is. It's a form of communication.
Yeah.
It's a way of communicating humans' feelings.
Yeah.
Like, and I think for me, all of the best music comes from, at its root, is from feeling and emotion.
Yeah.
Like, there's the technical side of it, which I love. You know, I'm a nerd as well. I love to geek out with music and guitars and jazz and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not playing it from a place of like from your heart, for me, it doesn't really connect. So well. Yeah.
No, I get that. So Frederique, who is sitting here, she did a session with the author of this book, the inside story of the UK jazz explosion. And it's funny because you also had some things in the book, some quotes. And I was wondering about one quote. Let me see. This is about like jazz being a black music form, art form. And you say, like, I was definitely always very aware of being a white musician playing African music and how that can be a complex thing. If you're just profiting from that and the people that have created and influenced the music are not getting the rewards that they deserve, then obviously that's not a problem. And I was thinking, like, does the notion that you're aware of this, does that impact like what you make and how you make it in doing the music? In making the music, sorry.
I think it's just, I guess it's always this that forever thing of like the difference between kind of playing something because you think it's cool or actually like doing the work to really understand it and pay homage to the people that have, you know, that have created it, and also like the struggles that have like caused a lot of that music to exist. So yeah, I guess it is something that because obviously I wasn't, as a kid, I wasn't really aware of that, or didn't really think about it so much. But as I've got older, it's definitely something that I've become more conscious of, and the way in which I approach. I wouldn't necessarily say like approach playing, but more like just approach the way in that you think that you are kind of what you're giving back to the scene and all of that.
Indeed. So obviously we're in Amsterdam right now for your show, which is in about a couple of hours, and I was thinking, like, what's your relation with Amsterdam, because you also did a live album recorded in Amsterdam. I don't know which venue it was, but do you come here often? Do you perform here often? Like, is there something about the city that gets you, or what?
I like Amsterdam. I mean, I've been here a lot over the years. I've always seemed to have had an audience here for a long time. And I mean, people here also seem to love music. I was saying that to you earlier, like there's such great venues here, and like like people that do tech, like they take their job very seriously, and I love that. And there's also just a really nice vibe here in terms of music. I've connected with some great musicians here over the years. And
Dutch artists.
Dutch artists.
Who were we talking about?
Bunny Hanna.
Oh yeah, of course.
Nathan Badu.
Oh yeah.
Who else? It's quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's gone from my mind right now.
All
but
good.
There's some great. I did a show at the other Paradiso a couple of months ago with a bunch of different musicians, which was really, really cool.
Yeah. No, it's great. Like, obviously we love you, and the quite some tickets sold as well for the gig tonight. So looking forward to this as well. To round this conversation up, like, what is next for you? What can we expect in the near future? Obviously, you're touring. The album rollout is going on as we speak. And sometimes it feels a bit weird to immediately think about the next thing, but yeah, what are you up to for the moment?
Well, we're going to be on tour for the next month until the end of May, and then we've got. Yeah, I'm ready to get back in the studio, to be honest. Once we finish, I've already got an idea of what I'm gonna do next, and I don't want it to be so long, like between next time when I release music, because I think, I left it a bit too long last time, and I'm just, it's weird because as soon as you put out a project, most musicians are already thinking about the next one. Yeah. So then your head's kind of already there, but it's been nice to just like really play it and really kind of feel this project and feel it in the live context. And I'm just trying to enjoy each day, enjoy being on tour and like getting to, live my dreams, I guess.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to what's ever about to come. And obviously, good luck with your performance in a second. And thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
All right.